Hello everyone. Welcome back to another lecture on reasoning ability and problem solving. In today's lecture, we will start with a new topic called assumptions and statements. And in today's lecture, we will discuss all the types of questions that you can get from this topic in your competitive exams. So let us start. Now, what do you actually mean by assumption and statements? So, basically, understanding assumptions helps candidates evaluate the logical validity and reliability of an argument or statement. So, let us understand what do you mean by that. First thing is, let us say it is a statement is given to us. Okay, statement is given to us that um, injecting dogs with chemical X makes them behave abnormally. Okay, so this is the statement that is given to us. So in this statement there are certain elements. The first element is a assumption. The first element is an assumption. For example, the assumption can be dogs behave normally in general. So because it is written that only after administrating chemical X it makes them behave abnormally, we can make an assumption that dogs behave normally in general. Assumption means it is already kept in mind while forming the statement. So this information that dogs behave normally in general is already kept in mind while forming this statement. Now there can also be a conclusion. Conclusion means something that we can derive from the statement. So from this statement, I can derive that chemical X is dangerous for dogs. Correct? Chemical X is dangerous for dogs. This can be my conclusion. Correct? This can be my conclusion. Now we have another term, that is argument. What do you mean by argument? Argument basically means, for example, if we have this statements that injecting dogs with chemical X make them behave abnormally. Okay, we have this statement. Now we have two statements or two arguments given to us. The first is chemical X is given to mentally ill dogs. Okay, chemical X is given to mentally ill dogs. This is given in statement number 1. The other statement that is given to us is chemical X is given to dogs to make them healthy. Okay, let's say this is the second statement that is given to us. Now if I look at first statement says that chemical, or second statement, let us change the second statement a little bit. Chemical X is given to dogs to make them healthy. This is given in second statement, and first statement says that chemical X is given to mentally ill dogs. So if I look at first statement, chemical X is given to dogs that are already mentally ill. So if this statement says that injecting dogs with chemical X will make them behave abnormally. So if this is true, it will make the argument stronger. Correct? Because it is already given to dogs that are mentally ill. Second statement says that chemical X is given to dogs to make them healthy. This will make the argument weaker, because if it is given to dogs to make them healthy, how can they start behaving abnormally? So this is contradictory. If it is contradictory, it makes the argument weaker, and if it is a statement that supports the argument, that helps the argument, then it makes the argument stronger. Okay, so these type of questions will come in your assumptions and statements. So let us understand the types of questions that you can get. There are 4 types of problems that you can get in assumption and statements. Type 1 is identifying assumptions. So basically you have to identify what were the assumptions that were kept in mind while making a statement. Type 2 is strengthening and weakening arguments. So you have to determine whether an argument makes the statement stronger, makes it weaker, or whether it is neutral in nature. So these type of questions you get in strengthening and weakening arguments. Then we have type 3, that is course of action. So course of action is also be known as decision making. It can also be called decision making. So what do you mean by decision making? Basically, for example, it is given to us that kites are dangerous for birds. Okay, this is the statement. Kites are dangerous for birds. Okay, this is your statement. We have to determine what course of action should be followed. First course of action is given to us that ban all kites that have material affecting birds. Okay, this is your first course of action. Second course of action is all kite companies or all kite manufacturing companies should be shut down. Okay, all kite manufacturing companies should be shut down. Let's say this is the second course of action. So which one do you think is correct? Which course of action should be followed? Definitely the first one. The first one says that all the kites that are harmful to the birds, all the kites that have material that are affecting birds in a harmful way, they should be banned. So this is the correct course of action. This is the appropriate course of action. Whereas the second one says that all kite manufacturing companies should be shut down. So there are so many people that are employed in this particular industry. So we cannot completely close down an entire industry for such situations. So we have to decide which course of action should be taken, which course of action is appropriate. So that is type 3 course of action. Then we have type 4 statement and conclusion. So again, a statement is given to us and we have to identify which of the conclusions will follow. Okay, now let us look at each of them in a little detail. So this is type 1, identifying assumption. So this is the directions that are given to us. Study the following information carefully and answer the question given below. So this is your question number 1. The principal of the Nirmal school organized extra classes for weak students of 5th class and the concerned teachers are getting paid extra amount for the classes. Okay, but the average salary of teachers more or less remains the same. So this much information or this statement is given to us. The statement says that there is a school called Nirmal school and the principal of that school has organized certain classes, extra classes for weak students, and for those classes the concerned teachers that are taking that classes are getting extra paid. They are getting a extra amount paid, but the average salary of the teachers more or less remains the same. So this much information is given to us. Now let us look at the assumptions. Okay, we have 3 assumptions. The question is, which of the following can be assumed from the given statement? So we have to identify the assumption. The first one says the student of class 5 of Indian school will score more marks than student of the Nirmal school. Now, is there mention of Indian school anywhere in the statement? No, the statement does not mention Indian school anywhere. So how can we talk about comparison? If this school is not at all mentioned, how can this be an assumption? Assumption is something that is already kept in mind while creating the statement. In the statement, Indian school is nowhere mentioned, right? So this cannot be an assumption. This cannot be an assumption. Option number 2 says student of class 5 are not serious about exams. So this is also not correct. This is also cannot be assumed because there are weak students, right? There are certain students who are very good at what they do. They excel in every exams, and there are students who are hardworking but they do not see that kind of result. So to say that students are not serious is a little bit of exaggeration, right? If the statement was that there are certain students in class 5 that are weak in studies, that could be an assumption. But to say that class 5 students are not serious, this is a little bit of exaggeration. So this cannot be an assumption. So this cannot be an assumption because this is exaggerated. Okay, and this cannot be assumption because it is vague in nature. The Indian school is nowhere mentioned in the statement. Coming to third one, Third one says extra classes arranged by the principal for students of class 5 will help the students to score well in exams. Definitely. If there are extra classes, they are provided in order to help the students to score better. So this can be the correct assumption. So correct assumption will be option number 3. Option number 3 will be the correct assumption. So if I look at the options, we have only 3 in option number 4. So this will be the correct answer. Okay? Only 3. It is the only correct assumption. Okay? Question number 2. Question number 2, we have to identify which of the following could be the inference of the given statement. So let us look at the statement. The statement says the Union Health Ministry has made Aadhaar a compulsory document for tuberculosis patients. So there is a Union Health Ministry notification that says that Aadhaar is compulsory for tuberculosis patients to be able to avail treatment under a specific scheme. So under the government's this scheme, RNTCP, Revised National Tuberculosis Control Program. So under this scheme, if you want to be treated for a tuberculosis treatment, then in order to receive that treatment, you need a Aadhaar card. This is what is done. So basically, if I want to summarize this, I can say that the Union Health Ministry has said that in order to be able to be eligible to receive treatment for tuberculosis under this particular scheme, you need a compulsory Aadhaar card, right? This is basically the summary of the statement. Now let us look at the options. We have to identify which of these are correct assumptions or inferences basically. First one say a person cannot take treatment of TB without Aadhaar card. This is definitely not correct. This is not correct because it is written in the statement that to take it in a particular scheme you would require Aadhaar card. So only for a particular scheme you required a Aadhaar card. If you want to take treatment in any private hospital, you can take it. There is no mention of that in the notification. The notification just says that in order to be able to eligible to take in one particular scheme, you need Aadhaar card. So this is exaggerated, right? Option number 2 says patients suffering from TB will be unable to get benefits under a central government scheme till they produce their Aadhaar card. So this is true. This is correct because you need a Aadhaar card in order to take treatment under the central government scheme, right? So only for the central government scheme, if you do not have Aadhaar card, you would be unable to get benefits. So this is correct. Third one says an individual eligible to receive the benefits under the scheme is hereby required to furnish proof of possession of Aadhaar number or undergo Aadhaar authentication. So this is also true. This is straight up mentioned in the statement that you need Aadhaar verification or Aadhaar number or anything related to Aadhaar. It is compulsory to be in order to be eligible to receive the treatment. So this is also true. Fourth one says the WHO recently said that tuberculosis epidemic in India was larger than that what has been previously estimated. So this is a vague statement. This has no relation with the original statement. This has no relation with the original statement. So this is also not correct. So basically second and third can be the correct inferences, right? So if I look at the options, option number 3 says only 2 and 3. So this will be the correct answer. Only 2 and 3. Okay. Question number 1 for type 2 strengthening and weakening arguments. So we have to determine which one strengthens and which one weakens the following argument. The first one is, question number 1 says, a government survey released today shows that 80% of the people who fly are satisfied with the service they receive from the airlines in the country. So a survey was released that shows that 80% of the people who are traveling by air are satisfied with the airlines. 3 interviewers stood outside a major airport and asked people leaving the terminal, do you have any complaints about the flight you just got off? So there are 3 people that are positioned outside a terminal, outside an airport, and they are asking people whether you like the flight, whether are there any complaints. So only 20% of such people responded yes. So we have to answer which of the following, if true, would most undermine. Undermine means weaken. Which of the following, if true, would weaken the conclusion of the argument? So we have to look at a contradictory statement. So in order to identify which one will weaken, we have to look at the contradictory statement, correct? Now, if I look over here, option number 1 says, 60% of the people coming out of the airline terminal were not people who had just gotten off flight. So if this is true, will this undermine the conclusion that everybody was happy? Only 20% people said that they had complaints, rest 80% were happy? Definitely. If this is true, this would weaken the argument. How? Because see, if the people who are being interviewed, they are not people who are flying, so how will that make sense? So this will definitely weaken the argument. Option number 2 says 1% of the people approached by the interviewers refused to respond to their inquiries. So this does not make sense. This is a vague statement. This neither supports nor weakens the argument. Option number 3 says the interviewers began the inquiry just after passengers were discharged from a flight that was 40 minutes late. So again, this is a vague statement. This does not strengthen or weaken the argument in any way. These are neutral statements. You can call them neutral statement. Statement number 4 says the interviewers were able to speak to only 70% of the people leaving the terminal, but those people were selected at random. So again, a vague statement does not have anything in relation to the original statement. So I can say that only option number 1 is the one that will weaken, or you can call it undermine, the original conclusion. Correct? Only option number 1 will be the answer. Right? Question number 2. Question number 2 says, the publishing company used to outsource its recruitment process for some years, but this year the company has decided to conduct the recruitment process within the organization. So this decision has been taken by the company that from now onwards we will conduct our own recruitment process. So earlier they used to outsource, but now they will conduct the recruitment process by themselves. First statement is the employees who have been working in the organization are aware of the hard work that is required to work in the company. This will definitely strengthen, because if there is a decision that is taken that now we will not outsource our recruitment process, we will handle it on our own, that means the employees are involved in the process. And if employees are involved, they are aware of the hard work that is required to work in the company, so they would be able to help the recruitment process, right? The second one says the company has decided to appoint 3 new persons in its senior level authority for the smooth recruitment process. So this one also strengthens. Correct? This one also strengthens. The company has decided to appoint 3 new persons. So if the company is appointing 3 new persons, that means the company is taking the recruitment process very seriously, because they have appointed 3 new persons at senior level authority for the smooth recruitment. So this one definitely strengthens. Now let us come back to first again. The first one said the employees who have been working in the organization are aware of the hard work that is required to work in the company, right? But is it mentioned that these employees, the one that have been working, are involved in the recruitment process? No. It is not mentioned whether they are involved in the recruitment process or not. So this will be a neutral statement. This will neither support nor weaken the argument. Did you understand? So in this particular statement number 2, we were talking about direct appointment. People who are directly appointment for recruitment process. But in step 1, we were not talking about the employees that are directly involved in the recruitment process. So this is a neutral statement, whereas the second one is the strengthening statement, right? So let us look at the options. Option number 3 will be the correct answer, because it says that 2 strengthen while 1 is neutral, right? This will be the correct answer. Okay? Question number 1. In type 3, that is course of action. So again, a statement is given to us. 3 course of action are given to us, and we have to identify which course of action would be taken in order to be able to appropriate course of action. Okay? So statement is the annual requirement of blood in our country is 6 million units, whereas the generation is only 3.5 million units per annum at present. So this is a problem, correct? The problem is that we require 6 million units of blood every year, but only 3.5 million units are generated. So we have to decide which of the following would be the correct course of action to help alleviate this problem, right? First one says blood donors should be attracted by telling them how the act of donating blood would improve their health. Definitely. definitely this could be a correct course of action, because if we invite people, or if we tell them that donating blood has benefits, because there is a myth attached to blood donation, right? So if we tell them that donating blood will help them, right, so they will come to donate more blood. So by taking this course of action, we can increase the generation of blood donation. So this is the correct course of action. Second one says blood donors should be attracted by providing them monetary incentives. While this can happen for a limited amount of people, okay, maybe one hospital is giving monetary benefits, but what is the difference? Look over here, 3.5 million units per annum, and we need 6 million units, so almost double, right? Almost double, 2.5 million more units we need, 2.5 million units. So definitely we cannot give monetary benefits to so many people, right? We cannot give monetary benefits to so many people. Therefore this is not the correct course of action. If it was only about one particular hospital or one particular area, even one particular city, let's say, then it would be a little feasible. But in this particular scenario, because we need a generation of more 2.5 million units, this is not a feasible option, right? Third one says more and more private blood banks should be encouraged. Again, this is not the correct course of action, because it does not consider the original problem. It is just a vague statement. It is not addressing the issue that we are talking about. So I would say that only first is the correct course of action. So let us look at the options. Option 1, only one follows is given in option number 4. So option number 4 will be the correct answer to this question. Okay, option number 4 will be the answer. Now, question number 2. Statement says the Indian Council of Medical Research issued a warning 2 years ago based on studies conducted in hospitals that resistance to antibiotics was found in 50% of patients. That means patients are being now resistant to antibiotics. A large number of infants were dying due to infections that did not respond to treatment. So this is the problem. Let us see which course of action should be taken to address this problem. Now, first course of action is the revision of antibiotics classes by WHO in its list of essential medicines is a welcome step in the global initiative to push back against antimicrobial resistance, the phenomenon of bacterial becoming resistant even to the most potent drug. So definitely this can be a course of action, because what we are doing is we are talking about essential medicines that is required to push back the resistance that is being formed. So this is a correct course of action, right? Second one says close scrutiny of these national stewardship programs such as those initiated by the ICMR is needed. So definitely if certain problem is there and there are certain programs, certain programs that help with these, they should be closely monitored, they should be closely scrutinized. So both of those statements are correct courses of action. So if I look at the options, option number 2 says both 1 and 2 are correct course of actions. This will be my answer. Okay. Now, type 4 statement and conclusion. So, statement is given to us. We have to identify which of them can be the conclusion. Question number 1. The cost of manufacturing cars in state A is 30% less than cost of manufacturing cars in state B. So, we are talking about manufacturing cost. Manufacturing cost. So, manufacturing cost in A is less than in B by 30%, correct? Manufacturing cost in A is less than B by 30%. Even after transportation fee for the differential distance of state A and B and the interstate taxes, it is cheaper to manufacturing cars in state B than in state A for selling these cars in state C. So if you have to sell these cars in state C, okay, then even after this difference, it is cheaper to manufacturing them in state B. So now even if the manufacturing cost is more in state B by 30%, right, still it is beneficial for us to, cheaper for us to manufacturing car in B if we want to sell them in state C. So we have to identify which supports the conclusion drawn in the above statements. Okay. Now, option number 1 says the cost of transportation from state A to state C is more than 30% of the production cost. So if this is true, if transportation cost is more in state A, correct? If transportation cost is more in state A, will it make us look for alternatives? Yes. and the alternative would be B. Also 30%. So if it is 30% of the production cost, if it is difficult for us to get things from state A, will people prefer to get things from state B? Definitely yes. So this can be the conclusion. Second one says the production cost of car in state B are lower in comparison to state A. No, this we cannot conclude. Third one says only entry tax at state C is more for the products originated. Again, entry tax is not mentioned anywhere. Fourth one says the total of transportation cost of cars from state B to C and entry tax of cars from state C is less than 30%. So no, if it is less than 30%, we would prefer state A only. But option number 1 will be the correct answer. Okay? Option number 1 will be the correct answer. Okay? Question number 2. Question number 2, one statement is given followed by two conclusions 1 and 2. You have to consider the statement to be true even if it seems to be variance from commonly known facts. You are to decide which of the following conclusions can definitely be drawn from the given statement. So let us look at the statement. The statement says 80% of the employees of Pent Lab Limited earn more than 5,000 per month. So let's say there are 100 employees, okay? Out of this 100, there are 80 employees. Let's say there are 80 employees that earn more than 5,000. Correct? Now, 70% of employees of Pentab Limited work as supervisors. So now we have 70%, let's say random. Let's say this is 70%. There are 70% that works as supervisors. Okay? That works as supervisors. Now, question number 1 says all supervisors earn more than 500 per month. This is not correct because let's say there is this portion, right? These people are supervisors yet they earn less than 500, right? 5,000. So these people are supervisors yet they earn less than 5,000. So this is not correct. This is a possibility. This is a possibility, but it is not 100% correct. Okay? Second one says less than 100% of supervisors earn more than 5,000 per month. Again, it is a possibility. So it is a possibility. It may or may not be correct. It may or may not be correct. So both of them are possibilities. So certain supervisors will be there that will earn more than 5,000, or there could be supervisors that earn less than 5,000. So if I look at the options, answer will be option number 4, that either conclusion 1 or 2 follows, because both of them are possibilities, right? Both of them are possibilities. The solution is given over here. Now, from the given statement, it is known that 20% of the employees earn 5,000 or less, right? If this 20% are all supervisors, then we can say that at least 50% of the supervisors earn more than 5,000. If none of these are employees of supervisors, it means that all the supervisors are more than 5,000. So it is either or. So there could be people, all the supervisors could be earning more than 5,000, or there could be certain supervisors working for less than 5,000 also. Therefore, answer will be option number 4, either conclusion 1 or 2. Okay, so this concludes today's lecture. Thank you.